Hello again from theindependent.com. I'm George Ayub for Endzone Online. With me, my buddy Bobby Mills. We're going to talk a little high school football. We are in just underneath the goalpost in the north end zone at Grand Island Memorial Stadium. Right behind us here, Seth Roberg caught a pass from Stephen Cahoy last Friday night with 6 seconds to give the Islanders a 34-31 win over Lincoln Northeast, a comeback victory for the ages. They were down 3 scores and came back and won it. Part of a great 0-week start to the football season, Bobby. You were in Lincoln for a couple terrific games as well.
Right, Seacrest Field for Millard West and Lincoln Southeast, defending state champions, and then Lincoln North Star, Lincoln Southwest. And both very interesting games. Both went down to the wire. Couldn't ask for a better doubleheader to open up Class A down there.
Terrific. Denton and I were out at Northwest High School. We saw the Vikings get off to a great start, a 34-12 victory over Sidney. We had that game online. We had a lot of folks from Sidney tune into that game, and but they looked terrific on offense. Connor Eberhardt was a tackling machine on defense, and so 2 Grand Island teams got off to great starts. This week, Grand Island Central Catholic heads to host Minden here on this very field, and then Heartland Lutheran travels to Parkview Christian.
Right, it'll be under the sun.
Under the sun, so that'll be, and I think that's going to be a hot sun. I looked at the forecast.
Right.
I looked at the forecast. Other impressions from the first week of football, Bobby?
Well, Class A looked very balanced, very good. There's some separation between the top 7 and the bottom rest. So the Millard teams are all going to be formidable. They might be 1, 2, 3, 4 behind Southeast, or 2, 3, 4. But I was impressed with Grand Island's comeback. You have to, and we were talking earlier, they're playing Southwest this week, so you don't really know. They shouldn't be able to penetrate that defense very easily, but I like the way Stephen Cahoy took that team down the field. I hate to say, a pro quarterback, but boy, throwing the out-of-bounds passes and getting it done with 6 seconds left. Right. You never know. They're going to have to throw against Southwest.
Tremendous, yes. Islanders at Seacrest against Southwest. That's a Thursday game.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And then Northwest and Hastings Friday. Central Catholic, Minden here Friday, and Parkview Christian North Heartland Lutheran game, right, also Friday. Now, Aurora had a big win, used big plays against number 3 McCook to open the season. Tremendous win for the Huskies.
It was, and one of the smartest coaches, he was one of the smartest coaches I know, and he changed his whole defensive scheme, and Jeff Gross wasn't ready for that. And he does things like that. That's a great staff over there. Caught him off guard a little bit, and once again, they just come through on defense when they need to. They always have a good quarterback, Troy McDonald. Ben McQuistion came through big. Jeff Ashby's son, Cole, did a great job on defense. So they're solid. They could very easily be number 1 this week.
They could.
It's kind of a crapshoot there.
And they used the big play. The Huskies are on the road, and I mean on the road, to Alliance. They're going to make the big trip. What's Alliance have this year?
Mitch Pancoast, their 1,000-yard rusher, had 1346 last year, so he's going to carry the bulk of the load out there, so they can look for that. It's their 2 trips out west will be Sidney and Alliance, so one will be easier than the other one. But Alliance, they're not too bad.
Good.
So I think the trip, they're leaving at 8:30 in the morning, and you know how that goes. But in Class B, if you're well, I was going to say west of Aurora, you're going to play 3 teams from out there. So
Northwest has that. They played Sidney, who came here, but they'll be traveling. They have a Guerin at Scottsbluff to play, and so I think it's just part of the deal.
That's part of the deal.
Tell me a little bit about Central Catholic this year. Riley Shoemaker returns at the quarterback spot, but and he'll be a great leader, I think.
He will. It'll focus on him. And Jackson Buck returns at center. He's a good ball player. He plays linebacker, and they have some beef in the line, a couple of transfers, and a big Johanna Gaifan's back there. It's only a sophomore, but I think it all centers around Riley. Right. They only have 37 kids out, but it's quantity instead of quality there, or quality instead of quantity, I should say. So I think they expect their line to be very good, but Minden also has a good line, and they lost almost everybody. But I'm going to be like Lee Corson and say, not so fast,
my friend. Right. Should be a good ball game here. That's Friday night here at Memorial Stadium. And then a little bit about Heartland Lutheran. What should we expect out of the Red Hornets this year?
Well, I think they're pretty green, and J.R. Knott just knows that they're still learning the basics. They're not that old of a school. Parkview Christian has a lot of people coming back, so it's going to be a tough opening test for them. So they're going to kind of feel their way through the season. They certainly can't afford any injuries.
Right.
They're not very deep, and they don't have very many kids out. So they're a couple injuries away from ending a season, so they got to watch it there.
And those schools, of course, Heartland Lutheran is a D2 school, and so it's a small school to begin with.
Right.
So each week on Endzone Online, we are going to recognize one young player as our Player of the Week, and Bobby's has some information on who that is this week, and some other kids that did a great job.
George, I picked Zach Rosé from Northwest. You were there. You had a bird's eye view. You and Denton Cushing here, our fine videographer. I think he had 288 yards.
Right, he did.
15 to 31, only one pick. Threw a long touchdown pass, 51 yards to Austin Anderson, 57 yards to Alec Waters. Had that nice 33-yard screen to Kyle Bachman. The kid must have looked good under pressure.
Well, I think
first game.
Yeah, one of the things that I loved his footwork. There were a couple times where he went one way and then purposefully rolled back the other and threw that little screen to Bachman, and it was really well done. He threw the deep ball pretty well. Those two long passes. And the one thing that people have to remember, he 288 yards, and there was a bit of a miss the whole night.
Right.
And so it wasn't the perfect condition, so he was obviously the leader out on the field. So a great choice. Zach Rosé, our Player of the Week. Some other outstanding performances, Bobby.
Well, we've got to salute Stephen Cahoy for his efforts out here, and they turned loose a little running back, Andrew Rojas, 20 carries for 158 yards, only 4 touchdowns.
Only 4.
And then, of course, our friend Tanner Faith, the returning leading rusher in the state from over at High Plains, Polk Clarks, and Hordeville, he had 158 yards. Ben McQuiston, 2 long touchdown passes for touchdown, a punt return, and then Troy McDonald, his quarterback, and of course Cole Ashby, the defensive standout at Aurora.
At Aurora, yeah, terrific performances. So, the terrific performances in week 1, which is actually called 0 week according to the NSAA. So. That's our show today for Endzone Online. I'm George Ayub with Bobby Mills. We'll be back again next week, so stay tuned for more high school football this fall from theindependent.com.